You talk about when the Warriors moved to the new stadium. I think the one thing that's kind of been kind of underneath the surface is gentrification.
Mm.
Being a part of the Bay all your life, how has that kind of hurt when it comes to the historic path
Yeah,
of the Bay? You want to talk about that a little bit?
yeah, absolutely. This is definitely, I think, more so than I've seen in my lifetime here in Oakland. There has been, a huge influx in, just the property values have gone up to a ridiculous rate where it's like, I mean, if you think about, we're in this pandemic now, but if you think about how a company like, Google can affect an area, how a company like Yahoo can affect an area.
Mm,
Um, we have Apple, there's Pixar, that we have all of these Instagram. There are so many large tech companies here that the their money is flowing like other industries aren't at this time. And so
mm,
they are, not only in the South Bay where they, like Facebook. How can I forget Facebook? So Facebook is here also. Um, and like all of these companies have a bunch of employees, and they're moving into the more popular areas. So predominantly the sort of nexus of that is San Francisco, which also, like you cross the bridge and then we're in Oakland. And so they're buying up property, and it's like the property values are ridiculous. I mean, like rent is ridiculous here. And it's all from that boom. Like there's been, I don't know how many .com booms they call, the .comers. And so, and this has been happening, we've watched this happen, wow, I would say since the late 90s, where,
mm,
and this is a time where I was coming out of college, and that sort of transition from um, doing things digitally started happening. And yeah, all of the neighborhoods that you would consider, like, and I won't say all of them, but a lot of the neighborhoods that you would consider no fly zones, where it's like, what goes on in that area, and
mm.
you're wise probably not to cross through there. Now um we are seeing people that you wouldn't usually see there, and people are knocking down houses and rebuilding something on, the land of the areas that were there. So like people are being pushed out to these other areas outside of places like Oakland or San Francisco, and they're living in these suburbs now. And it's um it's just a weird dynamic because that for those who can do that, I guess you consider them fortunate. But then like the homelessness here is beyond anything that I've seen ever. Um, People are displaced in a way that I haven't seen. It's a huge divide because there are those who have, and then there are definitely those that do not. Um, it's a
Mm,
huge gap between the two. It's almost like there's a small community of those who you would consider to be in the middle. It's like
Right.
people who have and people who just absolutely do not have. Yeah, so it's a tough dynamic here for sure. Very expensive place to live if you are not someone who has come from deep roots from the area for sure.
At the same time, do you feel like you're kind of losing the culture and the historical landmarks in a
You
way
know,
because of it too?
It is, so that's something that I experience when I go other places. So like with California, and this is another thing that's really interesting. Like with California, it a lot of times you will find that there isn't that want or that need to preserve a building or a landmark like you see in other countries and even other parts of the United States. It's amazing. Like I'm so like I'd say in London, you can find like places where that were affected by the war or and really kind of have an understanding around the landscape. Here in California for sure, like anything from wow, my goodness, it's so hard to get a grasp of what was once here because things are knocked down and rebuilt so often. And a lot of that is, because of earthquakes, like 1906 earthquake, 1989 earthquake, where things just completely are collapsed and they have to rebuild anyway. And so sometimes it's that's part of it, but like just the history sometimes gets lost when those sorts of things happen. But culturally, my goodness, every place grows and changes over time. But I think that there there's a definite change in the culture, but because I am from here, I know where to find it, and I think that's the tough thing. It's like if you are coming from the outside, you come to the Bay Area, you come to Oakland, and you're looking to find where the culture lives, it would be very, very tough to happen upon it. Probably the best way to put it. You have to know someone, you have to know where to go, where to be, to go and experience some of the culture that you may be more familiar with on the outside, for sure. It's tough, but it's still here. It's definitely still here, but it's harder to find for sure.